This is a little thing I like to call MLB Rants. This is the 7th episode of the 2021 season. Before I get into anything else, I just want to point out that none of my opinions are universally correct. You can form your own, put them down in the comment section and say what you got to say. Disagree with me, put it down in the comment section. And then if there is something that happens next week you want me to go over, put it down in the comment section, and it might even make an appearance in next week's episode. I do want to point out that this week's episode is going to be a little bit different from my previous episodes. It's going to be a lot shorter. I'm not going to be covering that many things. And so yeah, that's kind of it. You probably, before you clicked onto this video, you might realize that it's already shorter than usual. So yeah, let's get straight into it so that we don't waste any more time. And yeah, 2021 season, episode 7. One of the interesting stories of this week was during the Cardinals game a few days ago. Pitcher for the Cardinals, Giovanni Gallegos, Gallegos. I say Gallegos because that. Gallegos. Giovanni Gallegos was pitching, and Joe West, who's just hit a milestone this week for umpiring the most games in the MLB, he was looking at Giovanni, and he basically confiscated his hat. And the reason why he did this is because Joe West thought that Giovanni was using a foreign substance, which is illegal in the MLB, especially for a pitcher. You're not allowed to have anything on your arms that you can put your fingers on so that you can get a better grip on the baseball. You can't do anything like that. And you can even see on his hat that there is a little dark spot right on the beak. Confiscated his hat. And then the manager for the Cardinals, Mike Schildt, he was outraged by this decision because he's got a big thing about how, everybody cheats in the MLB. Every pitcher uses foreign substances, and every player uses a certain something in order to improve their game, just a tiny bit. And he lost his mind and got ejected by Joe West after coming out and trying to talk with him. He's defending his players, which is something Tony La Russa doesn't do. He was basically saying that, this is the same hat he uses all year. This is the same hat he brings to every game. His argument about how everybody cheats is, yes, it's not exactly 100% correct, but at the same time, it's not 100% wrong. Early in the year, you think about how Trevor Bauer was being investigated by the MLB because some of the balls that he used after one of his starts, the balls were really sticky. They had some substances on it, so they investigated it. They investigated the balls, and nothing came about it. Schildt is, I don't know, I feel like he's getting mad for no reason. I mean, if that's what he believes, then that's what and he could be right, honestly. There have been so many pitchers and players who have been caught cheating that he could definitely be 100% right. But honestly, you shouldn't be going out there yelling at the umpires so that you get thrown out of the game, I just don't really understand that too much. I guess it's his way of defending his players, or maybe he's just trying to cover up the fact that Gallegos is cheating. But at the end of the day, Mike Schildt really, he shouldn't have gotten that mad because he seemed so enraged by it. And then the fact that he comes back in the press conference, he says, every pitcher cheats. Every player cheats. When, sure, that might be the case, but at the end of the day, if you don't get caught, you don't get caught. Last week, I was talking about Jose Altuve and how, people were talking about, will he go into the Hall of Fame even though he cheats? Yeah, of course he will, because there are cheaters in the Hall of Fame already, and not only in the Hall of Fame, but there are also players who've never been banned from the game, even though they cheated the game. He might have been using a foreign substance, he might have not been using a foreign substance, but at the end of the day, Mike Schildt really needs to calm down about it, because there's nothing for you to get ejected about. If he's using a foreign substance, you shouldn't be yelling at the umpire. If anything, you should be contemplating your pitcher about it. Not go to the press and say, everybody cheats. He's not even denying the fact that Gallegos isn't cheating. He's just saying, everybody else cheats. So it's so your player is cheating then. And Joe West is trying to protect him. He said that he was trying to protect Giovanni. and that he didn't want him to get thrown out of the game. And it's not like the foreign substance, really messed with his game that much, because he still pitched a great game and finished off well, and they won the game 4-0. So at the end of the day, really unnecessary. Managers really need to step it up a little bit, because I don't understand the decisions they're making. As I was scrolling through social media, I was reading a lot of things about Fernando Tatis Jr., which I found kind of odd. There were some good things and there were some bad things, but the fact that we're saying anything but the fact that he's going to win an award, I said this before, that he's gonna win something. He is. I saw something this week, and it was someone pointing out how Tatis led the league in errors. While although that might be true, at the end of the day, it's not like his fielding is the only thing he does. And it's not like he misses every ground ball that's hit to him. When you look at the MLB as a whole, look at the amount of errors that have been going on with every team. Everyone's going to make mistakes at some point in the game. You're not perfect. That's been known. So I just don't get the fact that people aren't talking highly of Fernando Tatis Jr. when he is the best player in the league at the moment. If he messes up on a ground ball and doesn't get an out, he'll make up for it with his bat. And that's all that matters to the Padres, because the Padres are currently sitting on top of the MLB. So it doesn't matter if he makes 20 mistakes in one game. They will still win that game because his bat is always there. His bat is consistent. His fielding may or may not be there, but at the end of the day, it's not the fielding that really wins you games. In his occasion, it's not his fielding that'll win them games. It's his hitting. And his hitting is what's making them score runs. They recently played a really close series against the Brewers. It was back and forth between those two teams. And it came to the point where the Brewers had to walk off in order to beat the Padres. And good for them. The Brewers are a good team. Fernando Tatis Jr. shouldn't be talked down to at all. Like people are saying, when I'm supporting this team and my player makes an error, you just focus on that error. Yet Fernando Tatis Jr. leads the league in errors. And it's like, but that doesn't matter. Your guy makes errors and then doesn't hit like Fernando Tatis Jr. does. That's the difference in all of them. Let's compare Fernando Tatis Jr. to the Philadelphia Phillies as a whole, from Saturday to Tuesday, right? So that's 4 games. The Phillies, they scored 12 runs. They were able to get 3 home runs and 3 stolen bases as a team. Fernando Tatis Jr. alone got 12 RBIs, 4 home runs. So not only is he matching the RBIs and the stolen base stats that the Phillies are producing, he hit 1 more home run than the Phillies did in 4 days. And I know the Phillies aren't that great, but they're not bottom of the league. Like a few teams I can name in the NL, like the Diamondbacks, who are bottom of the league, like the Pirates, who are bottom of the league. Fernando Tatis Jr. should never be talked down this year. Never. Unless he gets injured. And he has gotten injured. He got injured at the beginning of the season, and he had COVID. And as soon as he comes back, dude's hitting bombs. There are a few players to look out for in the league as a whole, and Fernando Tatis Jr. is one of those players that keeps on popping up in every news article and every sports highlight. You turn on ESPN, you go to top 10, you'll see Fernando Tatis Jr. hitting an absolute bomb, bat flipping it like crazy. You shouldn't be talking down to Fernando Tatis Jr. just because your team isn't that great, just because the players on your team aren't that great either. You can't talk down to him. You can't. Now the last thing, and I know it's crazy, this is already the last thing, but like I said before, gonna change it up a little bit. I'm gonna see how this goes, and if it worked, it works, and if it doesn't, then we'll go back to what we were doing. But ultimately, this is the last thing, and then that's it. The Cubs-Pirates game, there was a play on Thursday that occurred, and all the scorebook nerds in the league are really trying to figure out how to score this. And I know how to score this. I'm going to set the scene. You've got Wilson Contreras, who is the catcher for the Cubs, and he's at second base. You've got Javier Baez, who's hitting, and they've got 2 outs. Javier Baez completely tomahawks the ball that's about here on him to the third baseman. And the third baseman throws it to the first baseman. So because there's 2 outs, all that first baseman needs to do is touch the base and the inning's over. But Javier Baez kind of baits him into following him by stopping halfway between first base and home plate and running back towards home plate, which isn't illegal. And this gives Wilson Contreras the chance to round third and try to score. So he's running to home. The first baseman sees this, and instead of tagging Javier Baez, because even if Wilson Contreras touched home plate, Javier Baez still needed to make it to first in order for the run to count, because it's a force out. For whatever reason, this is an MLB player, and he decides to throw it to the catcher to try and tag Wilson Contreras out. Of course, he throws it to the catcher, not in time. Wilson Contreras scores, but the run doesn't count yet because Javier Baez is literally standing next to home plate celebrating. He said, oh, he's safe too. He's safe too. He's doing the same thing as the umpire. Oh, he's safe. He's celebrating right there on home plate. Yet he still needs to make it to first base in order for that run to count. So then he realizes, oh, I need to start running to first now, books it down the first baseline. The catcher still has the ball in hand, so he grabs it, and then he overthrows the second baseman, who should have already been at first base covering just in case, because once that first baseman is gone, that second baseman needs to be covering the bag. So as the second baseman is running to first base, the catcher throws it to the second baseman, and it goes behind him, which means it goes into the outfield. And there's someone backing up the second baseman, and he missed the ball, which then allows Javier Baez to go to second base, and the throw there is missed by the shortstop. Before I get into it anymore, the third baseman at this point serves no significance anymore. He doesn't serve any significance because he doesn't record the out. He makes the throw to first base, but at the end of the day, it's not his throw that gets the out. So the third baseman is ultimately ruled out from this entire scorecard ruling. Javier Baez ends up at second, and the run scores. Now, the thing is how do we put this down in a scorecard? And the thing I like to do is picture it as if that wasn't what just happened, but it was another scenario. And the best scenario I can give, imagine there are runners on first and second with no outs. And the guy in the box, he hits a ground ball to the second baseman, right? So the second baseman picks up the ball. Because there are no outs, he's going to try and get the most amount of outs. So he flips it to the shortstop to try and get the double play. So that's fielder's choice. That's a field because it's his choice to throw it to the shortstop. The shortstop is on second base. He touches second base and overthrows the first baseman. And when he overthrows the first baseman, the runner who was originally on second, because there was runners on first and second, the runner who's originally on second is now rounding third. So by the time that ball is overthrown by the shortstop, it goes over the first baseman's head, and then it goes into the dugout. And when it goes into the dugout, that's a free base to all the runners. And since the runner who was originally on second, he's now past third, means that he gets home plate. And the runner who's running to first automatically gets second base, because by the time that ball's in the dugout, he's definitely going to be past first base. So he gets second base, and the runner on second would score from home because of the overthrow. When you score that, you say it's a fielder's choice double play, and then it's an error on the shortstop for overthrowing the first baseman. And then the guy who hit the ball still gets the RBI, but it's an RBI single with an E6, with an error on the shortstop. That's the exact same thing that happened in the Cubs-Pirates game. It's a fielder's choice to go to home plate, and he's safe. And then it's a single once Javier Baez reaches first base. It's a single, but it's an E2 because the catcher didn't throw the ball to the second baseman, and it rolled into the outfield. So it's a single with an error, which classifies it as a double. And that's how it's scored. So Javier Baez gets the RBI because it's his hit. He's the one who put the ball in play, and he didn't get out. It's a fielder's choice for the first baseman to throw it to the catcher. And then it's an error on the catcher for not throwing it to the second baseman correctly, which allows Javier Baez to go to second base. So you would record it as fielder's choice, RBI single, E2, so that it becomes a double essentially. That is it for this week's episode. I hope you liked it more than my previous episodes. If you haven't watched my previous episodes, go ahead. They're a lot longer than this one, but they include a lot more information, a lot more things that are going on in the league. If you do like this video, make sure to like it, thumbs up at the bottom right there. And then if you want to see what I have to say next week, because I post on a weekly basis every Friday, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and push the bell for push notifications, and we'll be good to go. Just in case you forget that I upload every Friday, you'll get the notification that I uploaded. Besides that, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.